Hey, what's up, guys? Johnny Con here, aka Not Such a Conqueror. So it's interesting. My friend made a video recently about what he believes, up to this point, and it's interesting because the same thing has been on my mind recently. You know, for some reason, we think up of things around the same time or whatever. But then again, we're kind of like kin in a way. We're like almost like a brotherhood. You know, um, we're part of a coven, or we're part of a coven. But anyways, um, when we die, I believe that it doesn't matter if you were a quote unquote good person. That doesn't matter because I've seen people who think they're good, who think they're doing the Lord's work, and are the most shittiest fucking people on the planet. And I've seen people who are Satanists or atheists and are much more kind or much more understanding people. So, I mean, and you can see it on what's going on in this country right now, the mass delusion, the mass psychosis, the mass weirdness, or whatever. It's like Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes. It's a madhouse! Right? We got the fucking lunatics running the country. But anyways, yeah, I don't think it matters if you're a quote unquote good person or whatever. And this goes deep, particularly the race that I was born into or whatever. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The religion, the programming that is infused into somebody like me, a Latino, um, who was raised by baby boomer parents, um, is infused with the traditional Catholicism. But I've come to accept, I've come to learn that this wasn't our original programming. And it's basically kind of like trying to teach a Latino or a minority in this country, the USA. It's kind of like trying to give them the same programming when the hardware is different, if that makes any sense. Um, the religion that someone of my background follows, which is Catholicism or whatever, is something that was thrust upon. Um, it wasn't traditional to people of my background, Aztecs or Mayans or native indigenous people from Mexico. Um, and I think, in my opinion, it's taught us to quote unquote respect the master a little bit too much. Um, if I might get on my soapbox for a minute, I honestly think that Mexicans need to stop playing subservient. We need to we need to stop playing people that are quote unquote considered less on media or whatever. We need to stop playing servants on TV. We need to have a little bit more respect for ourselves. But that's another conversation. So yeah, that kind of thinking keeps my people, in my opinion, a little bit down. You know, we need to learn that these motherfuckers ain't God. You know, and I see what's happening in this country, and I wonder, are we worshiping the same? Not me, but I'm saying as a whole, the stereotypical person. Are they worshiping the same God? You know, the same Christian Catholic God? Is it the same God? Why would he allow, this racism or this mass whatever? I'm not here to argue the politics of it. The smug sons of bitches that say that, if they want to come here legally. Nah, what happened was the colonizers are getting colonized and they don't like it. That's what it is, you know. But more to the point, I think we shouldn't give a fuck. You know, in my opinion, the afterlife is kind of like a Valhalla. But I'm not saying that's a term for it. But that's kind of like how it is. You're here to break cycles. You're not here to go through the same shit all over again. You're here to break cycles. And that includes not always forgiving somebody who's slapped you on the cheek. You know, you're not always meant to turn the other cheek. And I'm not saying to hit back, but in my book, you should. But I'm saying, do not enable this weakness. Do not enable yourself to be abused again. And that's what this religion teaches you, And who knows? Maybe it's my place, maybe it isn't, to kind of like look after my people or my ass or my family or whatever and say, you know what? No, we're not going to be treated like servants. We're not going to be treated like third-class citizens. We're going to have a little bit more respect for ourselves. But back to the point of the video, as a whole, like if you've seen my other content, you know that I believe in ghosts or apparitions or whatever. So I do believe that we do go on. Now, judging on my personal experience, I think people like Moloch, entities, deities like Moloch or Lilith, in my opinion, will sometimes recruit people who have passed away, or they'll send people who were devoted to them in life to guide you if you're a devotee of Moloch or Lilith. That's what I think thus far, based on my personal experience. I still have a long way to go, but as of right now, no, you will not go to hell if you don't follow Orthodox religion. Yes, there is an afterlife, and don't ask me why. I will not go towards the light, because based on my education, you go towards the light when you graduate to the upper room. It just makes you graduate back into this cycle, so I do believe there are previous incarnations of I, and I've said this before, not to get corny, but if I found out I had a mother in a real life, I don't know why, but to me, I would want to know her, or I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of like, maybe that's apotheosis, coming full circle to everybody, all your incarnations. At least that's what I think. I want to know what I was in my previous incarnation. But for some reason, I kind of believe that I'm kind of like winding down towards like my last cycle. I think I'm getting there. I'm not 100% an elder, because I'm kind of a son of a bitch too at the same time still. So, But like I said, my previous journey, I've been through Catholicism. I got into the Jungian themes. I live here in Hollywood. I used to go to the place next to Scientology, which is the Self-Realization Center. I used to meditate for hours. I went through the whole cycle. I didn't just get into this shit because I wanted to be an edgy, cool kid or whatever. For me, I love the scholarshipness of the occult. I want to develop my own science, which probably includes liberating my people of my background. That's maybe that's our lesson. Like everything that's going on in this country, my people need to see how beautiful and powerful they are, And if you're an ally to my people, then you're an ally of mine. All right? But anyways, this is Johnny Khan, a.k.a. Nasa the Conqueror. Oh, by the way, check out my Spotify, because I'm also a musician. Check out my Spotify and my other products and shit, all right? Moon and Taurus, I can't help it. But anyways, this is Johnny Khan, a.k.a. Nasa the Conqueror. Peace.